Hey everyone, welcome back to a Monday. It was an interesting one for sure. It's not what we expected yesterday. Bitcoin was going up in price. It was going up in price this morning, and then we had a rumor, or I guess somebody came out saying that the U.S. government is moving $2 billion worth of Bitcoin over to possible exchanges to sell. We'll take a look at the story there. And that obviously threw a wrench into everything that we were thinking was going to happen today. The miners were doing really well in the beginning, but then they all tumbled down except for two miners here. So we got that to take a look at. We'll also take a look at the latest enterprise value for the miners compared to their hash rate, see where everybody stands right now based on probably like the last week and a half or so, 2 weeks of price movements in each of them. So we'll see that, and we'll call it a day. We'll get into your guys' Q&A side of things as well, and that's it. So it should be an easy day today. As always, you guys know the drill here. Not financial advice for entertainment only. Do your own research, as always. And then my full disclosure here for you guys. You guys can read this at your own leisure. But if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. And let's take a look at what happened today with Bitcoin and the miners as well. So Bitcoin did reach 70,000 a day, right on the money, 70,000, and then it started pulling back, which was unfortunate. I thought we were going to maybe like 71, 72,000 today, possibly. But then we had the news come out, or the rumor come out, that the U.S. government, and we'll get into that here in a second, is moving coins over to possibly exchanges and looking to possibly sell, which is just a dumb move. But we'll get into that. I'll give you my thoughts on it. Okay, so Bitcoin was down, as we all noticed today. It was down. It was like a 5% swing on it from the high to the low, but it was down 2.16% today, closed at 66,771. Miners also were in the red today for the most part, except for two here. So all the miners were down, except for Argo. Argo was up just 0.61%. IREN was up 1.89% on the day. So it actually did pretty good here, considering everything else that happened here. IREN was kind of beaten down a little bit as well. I told you guys anything below $10 I think is a good get for IREN. I wish I had some cash to buy more into it. I didn't. I'm still, as you guys know, dealing with the remodel of the kitchen upstairs and the cost of going to Nashville. So I am rebuilding my cash position so I can buy possibly more of IREN and Bitfarms, depending where they stand at, but definitely Bitfarms for sure. IREN, if it stays below 10, I do want to get some more into it. But everybody else was down single digits here for the most part, so it wasn't too bad of a day, but we were down. So anytime I see these kind of red days, I look at these as buying opportunities if you're trading dollar cost average into them. And today was a good day to do that if you had the cash to do it, especially if you're looking at holding for at least another 9, 12 to 18 months or something like that going forward. I think the miners will do much better going forward, but it's just we got these kind of events right now. But that's it on Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners here. Let's take a look at the story that we have here, which is obviously Bitcoin tumbles below 67,000 as U.S. government moves 2 billion of Silk Road tokens. And we had Trump come out on Saturday with the Nashville Bitcoin conference saying that he's going to, put Bitcoin as a treasury asset on the books. And then we have the Democrats today going and basically, he said he was also not going to sell the 200,000 of Bitcoin that are out there, 20,000, whatever it is. But here's what we have. So the U.S. government moved $2 billion worth of seized Bitcoin on Monday, tanking already retreating prices and sparking investor concerns of selling the assets just 2 days after presidential hopeful Donald Trump promised to begin stacking Bitcoin. All right, so we talked about that a little bit in yesterday's video. Blockchain data Arkham intelligence shows that a wallet tagged as U.S. government Silk Road DOJ transferred 29,800 BTC related to Silk Road website to an unlabeled address with no prior history of transactions. Then the address forwarded 19,800 BTC and 10,000 BTC to two different addresses. Arkham analysts suspected that the 10,000 BTC transferred worth $670 million was a deposit to an institutional custody or service. Okay, and that's what they had here. Going down here, what else are here? Prior movements of often foreshadowed impending asset sales, right? So that's kind of what we're thinking here. That's why the Bitcoin crashed a little bit today. It didn't really crash that much. It was down 2%, but still it was down from where we thought it was going to go. So yes, anytime that a movement happens in a coin address, that's usually a signal that it's either going to be sold off or something else is happening. But typically you're looking at a sale there. Though not necessarily related, the government's move this morning followed by Donald Trump's weekend promise at the Bitcoin 2024 conference in Nashville to create a strategic national Bitcoin stockpile if elected. Prior to the transfer, the U.S. government held $12 billion worth of seized Bitcoin, according to Arkham's data. That's a lot, but it's still a small percentage compared to what the overall market cap is of Bitcoin right now. It's over 1.3 trillion or something like that, 1.2, 1.3 trillion. So it's still a small percentage of it. It'd be like 1% roughly, but it's still going to hurt, right, if it does get moved. So my thoughts on this is, if the Democrats, Joe Biden, whoever else is in there that's making the moves on it, telling people to sell it or whatever, that's just a flawed approach, I think, going forward, because you're not only possibly screwing over Republicans in this, but you're also screwing over your own constituents, your own Democrats. A lot of Democrats own also Bitcoin. So this is just a flawed move, in my opinion, I think. And it was just maybe a knee-jerk reaction to Trump being pro-Bitcoin. But, I mean, Democrats really should get pro-Bitcoin as well, because there is really no harm in that. But you're alienating that at that point a lot of people that do own Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies in general. So I think it was just a dumb move on their part. We'll see what happens with this. If we do get a sale, this could stagnate Bitcoin for a little while until the sale goes through of all the coins. In the meantime, we probably could be trading sideways some more. We could be going back down to like the 60s, possibly. Who knows where we might go. I mean, looking at the chart here on Bitcoin, let's take a look at it really quick here. We can see here that we have been kind of trading in a rather pattern here, right around between, probably 55,000 to normally around 68,000 or so, even higher a little bit here. 71 was the peak there, but looking at it, we have been trading sideways here on it for a while. So that's kind of what I would expect maybe to happen if we do have the government selling those Bitcoins, which I think is short-sighted and really not thinking about things, kind of like what Germany did, same thing. But that's kind of where we're at right now, unfortunately. Sometimes Bitcoin does throw us a wrench in there into things, and this is one of those wrenches that has been thrown by the U.S. government here, instead of other exchanges going under or anything like that. But yeah, that's it. That's my thoughts on it. We'll see what this plays out as in the next couple of weeks going forward. So we might have some more sideways trading on Bitcoin for the next couple of weeks until this gets resolved potentially. We'll see. Okay. So that's it on that one. Looking at the enterprise value per exahash for the miners recently, I thought that was kind of interesting as well. We got now, so enterprise value, what we look at is market cap plus debt minus cash minus HODL, and then we're looking at their current hash rate and future hash rate on both of these metrics here. And we can see that Cypher here has moved up quite tremendously here. So it looks like a lot of the other miners have actually come down in price more so than Cypher has, because Cypher previously was at the number 5 spot here as far as being what their value is per exahash. Right now, Cypher is at 173 million per exahash. If they were at number 5 spot, that would put them right around here, possibly somewhere around 100 some odd million. So they are definitely getting way more overvalued here by everybody right now, followed by Hut 8, same thing. Iris is still pretty well valued here at 160 right now for their current hash rate. Then you got TeraWolf, BitDeer, CleanSpark, Marathon going down the list here, BitDigital, getting actually higher value right now. I think it might be because of their HPC AI business. Then Bitfarms here, which Bitfarms actually has a heck of a lot more hash rate than BitDigital does. Same thing with CORZ. CORZ at 88 million right now. Riot, 78 million, and Hive at 52 million, right? If we look at the future hash rate, what their current number of miners purchased and the exahash they're supposed to reach, whether it's this year or even next year, for the purchases that they have made, we can see here that BitDeer now is the most undervalued or most overvalued, 152 million per exahash, followed by BitDigital, 137 million, along with TeraWolf. Then you got Hut 8, 132 million, Cypher, 108, Marathon, 87 million, and Core, 83 million, CleanSpark, 60 million. So these guys here pretty much stayed the same here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, those haven't really changed here on that. IREN 53, Bitfarms 50, Hive 45, and Riot 42 million. I would suspect that some of these guys here in the top 8 or so will eventually possibly flip these guys over here going forward. Because you have a huge difference here, like on IREN. So we're taking the future hash rate minus the current hash rate and looking at what that difference is here. And it's 106 million for IREN, CleanSpark 88 million, Cypher 65, Marathon 57, Bitfarms, Hut 8, so forth, so on. So that's kind of where I'm seeing things right now. So I think these are ones you possibly might want to be getting into, especially as their future hash rate grows. They should be generating more revenue than some of these guys that are not growing as much right now. Okay, that's the kind of the way that I look at it. But that's it. So let's get into your guys' Q&A side of things here. See if you guys have any questions. If not, it'll be a really easy day then. But that's it here. So let's get into the Q&A side of things. As always, the Patreon members have access to all my spreadsheets. Link is in the description for that, as always. And let's see if we have any questions here. Denny says, maybe the Dems will buy oil for the strategic reserve they dumped. Maybe. Let's see here. Camilla and the Democrats hate Bitcoin. I don't know why they hate Bitcoin. I think it might be due to their lobby. They might be in pretty big pockets with like banks and things like that. And the worst offender of them all is, what's her name? I'm drawing a blank right now. It'll come to me. It's, you guys know who I'm talking about. The one that's, what is her name? I think, is she from California, I think? Maybe? I can't remember. It'll come to me, but she's like one of the worst ones out there. Let's see. Jerry says, BTC always dumps before the FOMC meeting. When is that? Is that this week? So we'll see. What else we got here? What are your predictions for EPS for IREN, so earnings per share in the upcoming? I think it might be positive for them. They're pretty close to where they had the revenue in Q1. They don't have a HODL, so they don't have to worry about the FASB rules. So depending how lean they stayed as far as overhead and things like that, they might come pretty close to where they were in Q1. Jonathan says, Nancy Pelosi, thank you. Yeah, Nancy Pelosi is the one that I was thinking of. Nancy Pelosi, and there's another one also. Warren, what's the lady's name? Warren. Something Warren. Eric says Warren, yeah. But I can't remember her actual name. From Massachusetts, thank you. Okay, so other side of the country. Nancy Pelosi, I think, is from California. Let's see. Nathan says banks are in their pockets. Yeah, so, right. That's never a good, well, it's not a good sign for banks if Bitcoin takes over. Jeff says, hoping for BTC pullback to buy more Bitfarms. I would like that too, if that happens. There we go. Neville says, I think the name you're really referring to is Elizabeth Warren. Yes, thank you. Sour Gaming says the same thing. Yes. Thank you, guys. Let's see. Do you think IREN is undervalued right now? I do think so, slightly. Right now, like I said, I think anything below $10 is just a good get on IREN right now. Let's see. Hi, Seb. Wolf is entering a good technical range. Are you considering opening a position, or do you believe as much in Wolf fundamentally? Thanks. I like the fact that Wolf has paid off their debt. We'll have to see what how much they diluted to do that. But nonetheless, I think it's a good thing that they paid off their debt. It does make their outlook going forward much better. We still don't have much growth this year for them. If we look at TeraWolf, let's take a look at TeraWolf right now. My spreadsheet's here really quick. Let me pull that up. Where is it at? There it is. Okay. So TeraWolf right now, if we look at it, it is at 8.8 exahash. That's also with, I believe, the joint venture that they're a part of. And their future hash rate is about 10. So not a lot of growth there, at least not this year. They might announce something. I just don't know that for a fact. But they might announce something where they are going to be increasing that going forward. If they do, I think that's very bullish for Wolf going forward. Also, they're working on HPC AI. And then here you can see the red ones are the ones I think that they are a part of the JV. Everything else should be for their self-mining here. And then they do have an optional 6 exahash, which they haven't purchased yet. At least I haven't seen anything on that. So if they do get that, that would give them about 16 exahash, which I think would be really great for that at that point. But it's still not keeping up with Marathon, Riot, IREN, Bitfarms, Cleanspark as well, right, with the top 5. They're going to be a little bit below them. Not much. If they get to 16 exahash, that'd be just, what would that be, 5 exahash lower than what Bitfarms is targeting this year. So we'll see what they come out with in that one. The ones that I'm really trying to get into are the ones that have good growth, good operations, healthy balance sheets, things like that. So right now, I am not looking into Wolf unless things change here. Okay, so that's it for TeraWolf. see. How long can Riot fall if BTC crashes? How low? I mean, we're looking at maybe 10%, 15% if it happens. That would be the same thing for probably all the miners here. Eddie asks, how was your trip to Nashville? It was great for the first day. And then, so I got there Thursday afternoon, met up with a bunch of people. I talked about it in yesterday's video. So it was great. Thursday night was great. And then Friday morning, I woke up with a sore throat and like body aches. I'm like, oh, if I'm getting sick, I'm going to be getting out of here because I had like an 8-hour drive ahead of me. So I left Friday morning, unfortunately. But because of that, I was able to meet, what's his name? Russell Brand in the elevator with his lovely daughter. So that was kind of fun. Let's see. Question, if the Fed indicates rate this week while the selling going on, what will the price action be for Bitcoin? If they're going to be cutting the rates, I think that might be a good sign for it. Usually with rate cuts, that leads to risk on assets going up in value. And that's what Bitcoin is and the miners. So I would think that would be the case. Why did the miners dip early 2021 bull run? When will we see the same reaction this bull run? Yeah, the miners dipped in 2021 when Bitcoin peaked at like 63,000. That was the first top, and then we went down because of China ban on Bitcoin mining. The only company that followed Bitcoin back to a new all-time high was Marathon at that point. Everybody else kind of peaked before that point. So in April, I think they peaked at, when Bitcoin was at 63,000 or something like that. It was either April or May. I can't remember now. But yeah, they did front run Bitcoin a little bit, and they didn't recover after that. We'll see if that happens this time. I expect the miners to actually front run Bitcoin as well. Maybe by about a week or so, potentially, before Bitcoin reaches its top. But we'll see. This could be a different cycle altogether. Let's see. Ender asks, hey, Sebastian, have you noticed how Terra has gone down 30% from its highs over the last few days? Yes, I have noticed it. I think it just got a little excited there for a while. I need to come back to reality a little bit because it was a little bit looking overvalued there. HD says, Massachusetts own Pocahontas. You're talking about Elizabeth Warren there. Let's see. Is Bitfarms still undervalued, and what's your price target for it? Yeah, I think it's still undervalued. I think my price target is somewhere between $15 and $25 for it, depending where Bitcoin goes. But that's kind of where I'm looking at it. Let's see. How does Bitfarms function with FSB rules, given they are Canadian? Will it be pro or con situation this time around for earnings? Well, they can't take advantage of the FSB rules regardless, so that's not being applied to their earnings. They have to follow the other rules, which are not FSB. It's something else. I can't remember what that's called. But for them, it shouldn't be a big deal. Will the dilution ever stop for these miners, specifically Mara? I understand they holding more BTC strategy, but dilution will be crazy. If they actually want to grow, will it ever stop? Yeah, I mean, that's a good question there. I think eventually, if we have a repeat cycle like we had in the past, so Bitcoin goes up, Bitcoin then comes down. At that point, it doesn't make much sense for them to hold Bitcoin. So I would think they would sell more towards the top, and then as we're going down possibly, but I don't know if they're going to do that. They didn't do that in 2022. They kept hodling it all together. Same thing with, who else was doing it? Hut 8. Hut 8 was doing it also. So we'll see what that does. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of just continuous dilution to hodl. You're a Bitcoin miner, you should be using the Bitcoin that you mine. I think there's a strategy for it where you could be 50% hodl, 50% selling. I'm not saying you have to hodl everything or sell everything, but I think there's a strategy to it, just so you're not diluting the crap out of your shareholders. But we'll see what they do. I think Riot will drop July's production numbers on their quarterly call or wait for July to be actually over. No, I think they're going to wait for that to be over. So they'll provide that usually a couple of days out after July ends. They might throw in some numbers as far as what they mined so far for the July, but I don't think they will have the exact numbers yet. Do you think Cleanspark is going to miss revenue by a lot? I'm thinking of maybe repositioning after earnings just in case it comes down in price. Well, yeah, I don't know how much it's going to drop. I think it's going to depend on Bitcoin, but the revenue is down only a little bit. If we look at the revenue here for Cleanspark really quick, I'm going to do that. Oh, I got to go back to my sheet here. Let's go here and then look at Cleanspark here. let's see here. It's down here. So Q1, or I think this was their Q2 numbers, came in at 111 million here. I've had 104 million in revenue here for our Q2, their Q3. So that's not much of a decrease there. That's only about, what is that, 7 million decrease, 7.5 million roughly. It is a decrease, but the big thing for them is going to be the FSB rules, which then will value down their Bitcoin holdings, like about $10,000 per Bitcoin that they had at that time. So that might be the impact there for them on it, because in Q2 or our Q1, they had digital currency. Where was it at? Liabilities, assets, revenues. Let's see, I think it was over here someplace. Gain on value of Bitcoin. You can see here it was 119 million here. So they might have a positive here on revenues because they had a negative here that took them down. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out. I'm not quite sure how that's going to work out, whether it's based on the number of Bitcoin they held at the end of Q1, and will that have to be revalued at the end of Q2? And then what about the Bitcoin that they mined in Q2? Will that be valued differently? That's the question I have there. How will that work out? Okay. But we might see a little bit of a pain here in Cleanspark. Maybe. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's already priced in. I'm thinking that it is, but I could be wrong on that as well. Okay. Let's see. David says, lately the miners have been front-running both the BTC sell-offs and the pumps. Has this always been the case? Miners leading and BTC follows, some miners predicting BTC. Sometimes, we've seen in the past, we've seen it where the miners will front-run Bitcoin, whether it's to the upside or to the downside. We might have days where Bitcoin's going up and the miners are actually going down. We may have days where Bitcoin's going down and the miners are going up. So we have seen that before. Usually that is a sign. If Bitcoin miners are front-running Bitcoin in price appreciation or percentage appreciation even, that's usually a good case for where Bitcoin will eventually go back up further. It's just, we don't know exactly the time frame for that. Let's see. Ed asks, could you please make a video sometime in the near future before December on how to take profit? How to take profit? Sell. Sell the shares. That's how you make profit on it. But yeah, I mean, you guys are probably thinking, how do you dollar cost average out of it potentially? I mean, that's going to be dependent on each and everyone's individual case. What is their thesis? What is their expectations? Where do they want to take profits and things like that? I'm going to be possibly dollar cost averaging out when Bitcoin hits 100,000 maybe. We'll see how that looks on the charts and everything else. It's not easy to tell. Do you think Bitcoin creates a lower low moving forward, lower than 53,000? I don't think so. I think 53,000 was a pretty good low at that point. I don't think that's going to happen, honestly, unless we have one of those black swan events or something like that on it. Danny asks, Bitfarms or MicroStrategy? I would go with Bitfarms. That's just me personally. I think there's more upside with Bitfarms than there is MicroStrategy. Let's see, at 150,000 BTC IREN has a chance for $100 plus with HPCI deals coming in. If they get HPCI deals, possibly. My price target for them is $80, but if they get price or HPCI business, that could definitely help there. Do you think the Fed will cut rates? I think they might. We've been seeing the CPI, PCI, all data coming pretty good for where the Fed wants to see it at. And we're seeing also other countries lowering their interest rates as well. So I think there is a pretty good chance we might get it. Whether it's a September, maybe. I think maybe September would be probably the earliest that we would get it, but we'll see. Do you think the 53,000 gap will be filled soon after the U.S. government recent move? So you're talking about the Bitcoin CME futures. Let's take a look at that here really quick. Oh, where's it at? Right here. So here's Bitcoin, and we got the Bitcoin. Okay, come on, load. Why is it not loading? It just crashed on me. There we go. Okay, there's that one. That one. Okay. Yeah, so you got this at 58,000 here. So it's not exactly 53,000. You got a 58,650 gap to 60,940 gap roughly. Could that get filled? Possibly. But I don't think we're going back down to like 53,000 mark. I just don't see it happening. Okay, going back here. Sakaro says September 18th for the Fed rate cuts. Yeah, possibly, yeah. Let's see. Hey, Sebastian, don't you think that the pure play Bitcoin only miners will be the best investment if we are seeking Bitcoin price appreciation, as HPC does not matter in bull market? Well, yeah, I mean, I think if we were in a regular cycle where we didn't have all this HPC AI hype, I would agree with you there. But we are seeing that HPC AI hype right now. If that continues going forward, then I think that might be also a catalyst for some of the miners that are having it. But it could be just a bubble with it, with HPC AI. We'll see how long this lasts. And if that doesn't last long, then yeah, I think the ones that are pure play Bitcoin miners possibly will do better than the ones that do have HPC AI play. Let's see. How much multiple of HODL times Bitcoin price will company's valuation be during BTC peak? Will it be the same as for every miner? No, I don't think so. I think sometimes HODL helps, right? Bitcoin going up and everything else. I think might get like a 2x on top of the HODL that they have. But for the most part, it's their operations, their mining, how much are they mining, their uptime, all of that I think plays into it as well, more so than the HODL itself, actually. Because we saw with Hut 8, they had a huge HODL position for a long time. They were not being valued on that. They were actually being valued more on the HODL position than their operations. Whereas you saw companies that had a smaller HODL but better operations were actually being valued more. Okay. See. And then Eddie, how big of a partnership do you think IREN can get? CORZ got 3.5 billion, and even Hut 8 got 100 million. Well, Hut 8 got 150 million for as an investment to build out, but they didn't get any contracts for it. IREN, in my opinion, data centers are more clean and efficient. They're different data centers too, right? They are currently using, I believe, the ones in Canada that they have the facilities there for the HPC because it's just cooler climate. It's better than doing stuff in Texas. They would have to possibly retrofit their facilities, kind of like what Core is doing with CoreWeave, where CoreWeave is giving them $300 million to retrofit the facilities to be a tier 3 data center where you have redundancies in power, internet, cooling, all that stuff. So it is a little bit different there. But I don't know how big of how many HPC AI customers are really out there that are valued close to CoreWeave potentially? And I was listening to a podcast with, who was that with? I'm drawing a blank here right now. But it was from, I'm drawing the blank on the name of the company too. Wow. Getting old sucks. It was, regardless, the company that was doing HPC AI right now was using AWS for their services because they have a stack that they could take advantage of. They not only have the HPC AI or HPC business, but they also have like databases. They have elastic cloud, meaning you can scale the services quickly without having to wait to get more servers plugged in or bought or plugged in. So that's the hard part for me to really figure out as far as how the miners could attract those kind of customers, the ones that have a forward-facing business to clients already out there. And that's the problem there, I think. Yes, the Bitcoin miners can get customers for like the large language models training, I think, whereas you're seeing that with, I think, Bit Digital, and you're also seeing it with Core. Well, Core is basically leasing out the facilities to CoreWeave. CoreWeave is going to be putting in data centers in their servers. They might also provide a stack where you can have like an elastic cloud, database backups, all that stuff going in there. We don't know that right now. And I think that might be the way that CoreWeave builds their business out, is to compete against AWS on those types of things, possibly. The rest of the miners, Bit Digital also, I'm not sure exactly what kind of stack they have there when it comes to elastic cloud. You know, can they scale that? It doesn't look like it. They have one customer there, and they're paying for that what they're getting. So that's kind of that's where my quandary is on that, I guess. Is what type of customers can they actually get that can provide the same services as AWS, as Google, as Microsoft, Azure, all those. So I don't know. Question: what will be an entry point for Mara and Cleanspark? Thanks. If you haven't bought them already in the past, they've had a nice run up here already. Cleanspark is up almost from $1 something, $2. They're almost 700% up from where they have been. Same thing with Marathon for the most part. Marathon's like up 500%. If you believe Bitcoin's going to be going up to 150,000, 200,000 potentially, I think right now on any dips that you get in Marathon or Cleanspark would be the way to go possibly. Just dollar cost average into it. Let's see. Is BitDeer a good buy? How high can it go if Bitcoin reaches 100,000? That's a good question there because they have so many different business units. They got the self-mining, the hosting, the what do they call it? The managed hosting, the cloud hosting as well. So it's kind of tough to say. They are building out tremendously here. They're also building their own ASICs. Depending on how much business they can get on the ASICs to other customers as well, how much revenue they can bring in from that. And then a lot of their growth is done until 2025, 2026 with all the sites that they are expanding and building out there. So I don't know. I don't know where it could be. But I'm guessing it's going to be higher from where it is right now. Let's see. Hi, Seb. What do you think about IREN technical chart? Is it in a bottom on RSI? All right, well, let's take a look at that one. Let's see. What do we got here? What do we got here? RSI on the daily is at, it's looking pretty low to where it has been in the past before it started bouncing. So, we got to about 39 here. On the daily, we saw a bounce from here. We saw a bounce here as well. We could be getting close to the bottom, yeah. Let's take a look at the 4-hour chart really quick as well. That's been trending downwards as well. That's close to 30 right now on that one. 1 hour, I'm guessing, is going to be probably below it at one point. Yeah, it's been below at one point. Yeah, we might be getting close to a bottom here on IREN right now, on the RSI at least. Okay, what else do we have here? Given the current situation, what could make Bitcoin drop dramatically, 5 to 10%? World war, 2 other countries getting into battle. That was the other thing I was going to mention here. I don't know if you guys are paying attention to what's going on a little bit in Venezuela, but I just got to give props to the people of Venezuela standing up for their freedoms. That is very heart-wrenching to see that happen. So I'm wishing all the best of luck in there, getting the government to be more pro-freedom instead of being a communist country possibly. So, I just don't know what else could happen there. Let's see. Aaron says, I hope nobody is surprised that the government is going to sell Bitcoin. Well, I think some people are surprised a little bit. I was a little bit surprised by it because I thought, with Trump getting into Bitcoin and also being pro-Bitcoin, having what he has said, then we heard some rumors that Kamala Harris campaign is talking with some heads in Bitcoin, that they are learning more about it, that maybe the sentiment has changed there, but at least right now it doesn't look like it. We'll have to see. Hi, so BTC is going sideways for almost 150 days. Are you expecting breakout in Q3, Q4? Yes, that is what I'm expecting it to kind of happen. That's what we've seen in the past as well. And that's kind of where I'm thinking it might happen. Right now, it's the summertime. I've said this before. People are out vacationing. There's not much. Well, I'm sure there's interest in it, but there's just not all the attention going on Bitcoin right now because people are more liquid right now, possibly, because they don't want to be away from the trading desk, things like that, when things are happening and things go south or north, So I think Q3, Q4, once kids start going back to school and people are paying full attention to what's going on. Let's see here. HD says or asks, you still think Bitfarms will reach your targets after months of Riot FUD like a mad dash in stock price to catch up at the end of the year if they can put it behind them and stave off the Riot takeover? Yeah, that's kind of still what I'm thinking here. The only thing that we do have right now hanging over our heads is Riot. Everything else has been kind of cleared up. The Paraguay FUD, the CEO, we still have the CEO, the old CEO suing the company. We'll have to see what happens there. I think they're going to settle on that. And then we got a new CEO in place. We have another additional board member in place as well with Fannie Phillip. So I think those are all great news there. And it's just a matter of getting Riot off our backs. And I think at that point, the stock will do much better. Let's see. I can't pronounce your name, so I'm sorry about that. But can I work for you part-time? I have a bachelor's of science in finance and economics. Have been in Bitcoin since 2017 and have a deep understanding of Excel. Excellent. So you got into Bitcoin right around the same time I did. I'd love to bring on somebody else. But I'll be honest with you guys. I don't make a lot from this. I make, what is it now? Just a little. It's less than $4,000 a month on this with Patreon and YouTube ads as well. I don't make that much on it. It's at least covering my expenses, and at least I'm making something on it for the hours that I spend on it. But I just don't have the extra capital to put in to get somebody for part-time. But yeah, thanks for the offer though. Shalom Seb, will you be buying this week? If I have the cash for it, I will be buying. I'm trying to scrape up cash. But I've said before that the upstairs renovation of the kitchen and the visit to Nashville last week kind of hurt a little bit in the wallet. Let's see. Scott says it would be nice if the Fed said if we don't see an increase in inflation in the next 6 weeks, we will cut rates. Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah, I think that would be definitely very bullish. Why do you think the miners have been going down so much past the past few weeks despite Bitcoin going up? Well, not all the miners have been going down. Some miners have been actually going up and outperforming Bitcoin here. If you look on the short time frame, we can have that happen. But you got to look out on the longer time frame. Look out the last 52 weeks, see where the miners have come from there, from the bottoms, whereas Bitcoin come, and a lot of miners have actually outperformed Bitcoin here. But yeah, in the short time frame, things can definitely change. What else we got here? Try to find some more questions. Let's see. Sorry for the dead space here while I'm reading the comments here. Let's see. Mark says, long day, Seb. Yeah, it's been a long day. Worked my regular job today, got home, had to do the laundry because my wife and kids are in Europe. And then I had to go grocery shopping as well, and then I had to do some research for you guys as well here. But let's see what else we got here. Roddy, I think I'm pronouncing this right. Rohat? I'm sorry. If I'm pronouncing your name wrong, I'm sorry. Hive has HODL, HPC, amazing operations, low dilution, and now growth, exahash as well as they are doubling. They are most undervalued. Don't you think they will move the most from here? No. And the only reason I don't think that is because you have to take into consideration the Bitcoin network hash rate. Where will that be in a year from when they double? It will probably be, I'm guessing it will probably be around 1,100 exahash, maybe a little bit north of that. And that coincides with their growth planning to about 12 exahash, maybe a little bit more north of that. But that's still only 1% of the network hash rate, which is what they've stated for a long time is what they want to maintain. And I think they're just trying to maintain that as well. Let's see. Hi, so from the historical observation, if the overall market QQQ and SPY continue to go down, do the miners and BTC usually follow, or is it not really related? I haven't tracked Bitcoin against the QQQ or the SPY historically, so I don't know about that one. I do know that historically we have these four-year cycles, and they pretty much coincide with the U.S. elections for the most part, at least now. They will change eventually, but each time we've seen that Bitcoin price has gone up in the next 12 to 18 months after the halving event. So we'll see if this happens again. I'm guessing it will, but you just never know. What else we got here? Let's see. Para Stevenson says BTC and BTC proxies trade inverse 2-year and DXY. Okay. Godspeed. Love you later. Have a great night. Thanks for coming in. Seb, will dilution continue to purchase more efficient miners in 2025-26 by the miners? How will that affect the stock price, and will your project still be attainable, i.e. IREN at $80 per share 2025? Yes, because as the miners are possibly diluting here as the price of each of their stocks goes up, they will be diluting actually less. right? So that's actually a good thing. So if they are to dilute, I would rather dilute them at the higher prices, around like 40, 50, 60, 70, $80 per share, than for them to dilute at like $2 a share. So I think with that, there's much less dilution, because at that point, if the stock price is at $50, you can get 50 million. Would that be 50 million or 500 million? Hold on. If they dilute 10 million shares, 1 million shares at 50 is 50 million basically. So if they dilute 10 million shares, that's 500 million at that point. So it's a lot more accretive at that point if they do it. So I think it's still definitely attainable. What else we got? Let's see. You're responding to Scott here. I would be shocked if you regret buying Mara in both the near term and certainly in the long term. Yes, I do think Mara will do pretty well. Great, even I could say, in the next 12 to 18 months. A lot of the miners will also do great. I'm just looking for the ones that are more undervalued right now, potentially, which might have a little bit more X multiple to get up, but we'll see. Let's see. Eddie says, I read some data points on the first rate cut. On average, 180 days after the first cut, the market tends to drop because it indicates a weak economy for the Fed to cut rate. What are your thoughts? I just don't know. I'm not an economist on this side of things here, so you might be right on that, and the market might do that, but I just don't know. Sorry. If you only got to choose between Cleanspark and IREN, which one do you think will perform better? From right now, I think, where's Cleanspark at? Cleanspark is at $16. IREN's under $10. I think we're looking at things right now, and my price targets for them, I think Cleanspark's, like I said before, like $70, and IREN about $80. You're looking at about an 8x possibly for IREN right now, whereas Cleanspark's more like a, what's it going to be? A 4 to 5x possibly. That's kind of the way I would look at it right now. So yeah, that's the way I would look at it. Let's see. LTD lawn servers. I'm thinking a long melt up on BTC and a warmer crypto winter is in the forecast. Bitfarms still lagging majorly. You could be right, depending on if we still have the overhang from Riot. But right now, Bitfarms is, to me at least, based on what I'm seeing here, it's still one of the most undervalued here for the bang for the buck, possibly. Right, it's at $2 something. If you can get it up to $20, it's still like 8 to 10x possibly. $15, you're looking at like a 7 or something, roughly a 7x roughly on it. So we'll see. Diddy says, I hope the Dems don't win. This is messed up. Yeah, I think they're kind of like shooting themselves in the foot here a little bit with this. But we'll see. All right. I think I've caught up to all your guys' questions here, so I think we'll call it a day on that one. And I think we got one more coming in here really quick. Let's see when it pops up here on my screen. It's a little delayed. Let me see here. See, Woodstock says, I had the added to my IREN hodl today. Thanks for your analysis. Yeah, you're very welcome. Absolutely. Why do you think is going to be the most efficient mining company in the upcoming months? Oh, who, not why. Who do I think is going to be the most efficient mining company? Depending on what metrics you're looking at. Are you looking at uptime, overall operations, things like that? If that's the case, I think we got possibly Hive in there. We got Cleanspark, IREN, Bitfarms in there. And then we'll see if Riot can fix their uptime along with Marathon. And then we'll also look into possibly Core, Cypher. I mean, they're all going to be pretty efficient on that point of thing. Let's see. Diddy says, far left hates BTC, and for some reason, pro-Bitcoin people are mostly left, so it makes no sense. Yeah. Let's see. Scott says, thanks, Seb. Go let the dogs out. Actually, my pup is sleeping here on the little couch that I have here in the corner for you guys. I wish I could move my camera and show it to you guys. But we have this little, it's a portion of our couch that's left over from the basement here. And she can see me and I can see her, and she's just laying here in the corner right now, sleeping right now. Let's see. What do you think might happen to Bitcoin if either Harris or Trump gets elected in each scenario? Kamala Harris. Well, Bitcoin's been through different presidents before. It's been through Democrats, been through Republicans. I think just the adoption, the growth, everything else, regardless of who the president's going to be there, I think it's going to go up. That's just my own thoughts on it. We've seen this plenty of times before. I don't see that changing yet. We got ETFs for it right now. We have a lot of people, companies buying it, putting it on their treasury. So I don't think that's going to change, regardless of who's really in there. We may have a more bullish rally if Trump is elected than if we do it with Harris getting elected, maybe. Maybe I could see that. Let's see. All right. I'm done with it all. Woodstock says, thank you. Have a good night. Have a good night, my friend. And then Lazaro also says, thank you for answering my questions. The Asian dietitian also. So thank you, everyone, for coming in here. We'll see what happens tomorrow. I'm hoping tomorrow is going to be a better day for Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners, but we'll see what kind of FUD we get out of the Democrats or FOMO from the Republicans. But we'll cover that, and we'll see who. I don't know if Riot's reporting tomorrow or is it Wednesday, their Q1 results, or Q2, sorry. But we'll cover that if that happens. We'll talk about whatever else is happening there as well. But yeah, that is it. Again, thank you so much for coming in. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. And I hope you guys have a wonderful evening or morning if you're waking up right now. I'll see you guys tomorrow.